Hello, hi. Welcome to the new video. As a process of OWASP Docker Top 10, we already covered D01 and D02, that is secure user mapping and patch management strategy. Here we are going to discuss about D03, that is network segmentation and firewalling. As a process of here, we are going to see what is exactly the network segmentation and how the firewalling and what is firewalling in Docker and why those both are very critical and how we need to group with a Docker network and what are the simple network segmentation examples like good practice as well as bad practice and how to set up a Docker firewall rules with a demonstrating commands and what is the attack surface for D03, that is network segmentation and firewalling, and what can go wrong, let's say if the segmentation and firewalling are compromised or neglected, and some best practices and some next steps. Without further ado, let's enter into the video and have a discussion around it. First of all, what is network segmentation? Basically, it is dividing a network into a smaller and isolated sessions. That means splitting your container networks into a separate zones so that each part operates identically, and it will limit how far an attackers can spread, or attack surface will be limited. And each segment has its controlled access points. It's like only approved traffic can enter or leave the each segments. So you can control who can talk to whom, setting up your security gates between the rooms, and it's like building a walls between the different areas in the same house, and it will also prevent the unauthorized access between the network zones. And for a non-technical analogy, it's just you can think like this: a digital room with locked doors. Okay, and moving to the next slide, where we are going to discuss about what is firewalling in Docker. Basically, it is one of the rules that controls the network traffic between the containers. So firewalling means setting up a kind of rules that will decides which container can talk to each other, and it's like creating a traffic signal for your existing network. That is the firewalling, and it will blocks unwanted connections and ports and protocols. You can block the access for certain IPs that shouldn't be used or shouldn't be reachable. Basically, that will stops the attackers to misconfigure containers, or else to, if there is a sensitive data in certain containers, basically you can stop them to reach those by using this firewalling mechanism. And it will acts like a digital security guard, where you can think of it like a guard standing on your door and checking every packet, and only allowing the safe once if that particular check was pass or success. And it will monitors and filters all network communication. Basically, a firewall doesn't just block the access or communication, that will also watch. They inspect the traffic, and that will filter out anything suspicious or unauthorized, that will be highlighted with the help of a firewalling mechanism. And it's like you only let the right person through the right doors. Okay, if you consider as a non-technical example. Okay, that is the segmentation, network segmentation and firewalling. So here we are going to discuss why these both are critical in containers. So let's see, without segmentation and with segmentation. By that you will get to understand what exactly and how it was affecting the real world. Let's say if without segmentation, one compromised container can obviously lead to full network access in the environment. So if one container is hacked by a attacker, it will access everything lies in that particular network segmentation. So not a segmentation here, there is no concept of segmentation. Entire environment access will be gained, so there is no boundary to stop that particular access. So that is the greater risk here, and the attackers can move freely between the services. Once they enter inside the service, attackers can jump from one service to another. It's like moving from one room to one room, let's say if there is no lock or any walls or boundaries. Okay, so that is about without segmentation mechanism. Okay, let's say if there is a segmentation in a Docker container, so obviously it will be isolated, and that segmentation containers will reduces the blast radius, and let's say if one particular container is compromised, others will be stay protected. There is no fear about that. and it will limits the damage to a specific network zone only. Let's say if there is a network segmentation is enabled or set up, only the affected segment is impacted. The rest of your entire system will keep running in a safe manner. So that is the point here, and that is the important, that is why network segmentation as well as firewalling is critical in containers. And coming to the next, where we are going to discuss how the grouping containers with the Docker network will works. If you see here, there is a one web tile which is uh, yeah, like common front-end application, we can say, which is runs with the help of this web application. So, and there is a app and there is a DB. Okay, these are a common structure where front-end containers handles user requests and the app containers process that particular logic in the backend, and the data will be stored in the DB container. Okay, so each tier of this application should be on its own network. Okay, so when you create some custom networks for different services, in this example there are three tiers. Okay, you can use a Docker network create command. This is a Docker built-in command. Basically, it will build a separate network for each tier or for each container. This will basically isolates the traffic and improves the security posture within a container. And we can control with like which containers can talk or communicate to another containers. We can allow a specific or necessary communication between the these containers, and let's say if a front end container need to talk with a application container, but not directly with the backend database container. So these kind of networks, communication segmentation can be done with the help of this network. And we can use a bridge overlay or a host network strategically. uh, we can choose the right network type, the bridge is the default one for local setups, it is helpful, and overlay network is useful for multi-host, especially the Docker Swarm setups and Kubernetes if we have. And the host network is for getting good performance, and let's say there is some critical containers. In that particular case, we can use the this particular host network. So these are the commands, just example commands. We can use Docker network create front end. Basically, it was creating one of the network with the name of front end. Okay, and here the same way back end. So here we are creating a front end as well as backend networks for your application, web, and DB tiles. So whomever we wanted to attach those networks, whenever we are running that particular container, we can pass the argument, and then we can give the communication access. We will show, we will see that particular commands also in the further pages. Okay, and moving further, where we are going to see a simple segmentation example. It was a good practice where direct connection between web server and database, and the bad practice was all containers are on the same network. Okay, basically what exactly happening here was we are allowing only the web server to connect directly to the database server. So this will particularly limits the exposure and keeps the other containers out of sensitive zones. So there is a direct communication between a web server as well as database server. So that particular web container can talk to the database container, but not to the other containers that is involved in the environment. So this particular practice will keeps the communication very clear and in a secure manner. That is the a good practice, we can say, practice of segmentation. And coming to the bad practice, here what exactly it happens was we are putting all containers on the same network. That means any container can run to any other container. So this will increases the risk of the lateral attacks gaining access to the others. And here all containers on the same network, will be running on the same network. Let's say if one container is compromised, it can easily reach out to the others. There is no isolation or control in this case. Okay, so this was the good practice and this was the bad practice. And here you can see a common commands which is used to connect only a web to database. So we are using this particular Docker command to enforce a segmentation. Okay, the command was docker run hyphen hyphen network backend. Backend was the network name, and this was the container name, db container. Okay, and this was the another command, docker run hyphen hyphen network frontend hyphen hyphen network backend to the web container. Here in the first case, we are attaching a backend network to a database, and then in the second command case, we are attaching both to the frontend and backend to the web. Okay, web container. Basically, this will set up the web container to access both the front-end as well as the back-end networks, while the database container will access only the back-end network. So that is the, that was the significance of here. And whenever we are performing some demonstration, at the time you will get some clear clarity. Due to some limited time, I was not performing demonstration as of now, but in further videos I will demonstrate for sure. And here we are going to see how to set up a Docker firewall role. Basically, these are the some steps or else some practices we need to be followed. We need to use Iptables integration with Docker. That means we need to use a Iptables under the hood to manage a network roles. You can customize these particular roles to control your traffic between your containers and external network. Then we need to use, we need to configure UFW. That means uncompiled firewall, we can say. And basically, this uncompiled firewall is a simple tool to manage a Iptables. You can use it to allow or deny a traffic to a Docker ports and interfaces. It is very much like friendly for beginners who are starting. Okay, and limit port exposure with -p flag. Whenever you are using a Docker command, we need to use -p flag that will only expose the ports what you needed. That will avoid the publishing all ports to the host system. So here you can see an example command where with this command only we are exposing necessary ports with the help of docker run -p and the IP address and then host port and container port. My app was the container name. Basically, this will binds a port 3000 to the local host. Okay, so this is the local host IP and this is the port. With this, the external systems cannot reach to it. Why? Because we are forcefully binding with the local system with that particular port only. Okay, so that is the significance of here. And coming to the next command where we are blocking a container internet access. So the command was docker run ---- network none. So here we are not using any like network. That means there is no like communication or connection to that particular container, secure container. This was the container name. Basically, this will run a container with no network access at all. It is very much ideal for isolated tasks or some sensitive workloads. So we need to block what we don't need. Okay, so that is the points and how to create a network firewalls. Docker firewall rules. And moving further, let us see like what is the attack vectors in D03 network segmentation and firewalling. In the earlier videos also we have seen the attack vectors for both patch management strategy as well as secure user mapping. Likewise, here also we are going to see. Some of you like something new for you, like what is attack vector. Basically, attack vector is a path or it is a method used by a attacker to breach the system. Okay, here are the some attack vectors for D03, which is port scanning. Basically, in the port scanning, the attackers discover open services and vulnerabilities. So, whenever hackers scan your network to find some open ports, if they found any one of the port which is open, they will try to like use that particular open port, and that will be used as a attack vector. Okay, so moving to the next one, which is the lateral movement. So lateral movement was the one of the like attack vector. That means moving from one compromised container to another container. So let's say once they are inside a container somehow, and attackers will try to move to the sideways, that means to the other containers without let's say if there is no segmentation is implemented, obviously they can go to another container, so they can reach everything whatever there is no segmentation or best practice was followed regarding firewalling and network segmentation. Okay, and the third vector was data exfiltration. So basically, attackers use the networks to send some stolen data out of from your system. Let's say if traffic isn't monitored or filtered, you won't even notice that particular attack was happened. Okay, so that is the significance here. Stealing sensitive data through the network channels. So these particular attacks exploits poor network isolation and firewalling rules. Okay, so these are the attack vectors, and that is why those are important to consider. Okay, now let us see what can go wrong if we don't consider or neglect this particular D03, which is OWASP Docker top 3. Okay, so here data breaches can happen if if container networks isn't secured properly. Attackers can steal the customer's data. This will include some personal information or some credentials or some financial records, whatever it might be. Okay, so data breach may happen, and it may cause to financial losses, where obviously the breaches leads to some fines and some legal costs and some downtime also, and also businesses may lose revenue, and they will spend heavily to recover, or else it will to gain back the whatever they lost. Okay, and complete infrastructure compromise from a single container. Let's say one vulnerable container can give you access to a attackers, then obviously they can reach to the like entire environment, and that will be compromised, right? Obviously they can get lateral access, and it will be a entire attack will be happen on the surface. And there will be a regulatory violation also. We do have a certain regulatory bodies like a GDPR, HIPPA, PCI DSS. Basically, by failing to protect the data, can obviously break the laws, and this particular will results to like penalties and audit from a certain regulatory frameworks. I mean, whenever the audit is happened at the time, that will be noticed, and reputation damage and like customer trust or loss will be happened. Okay, and especially the failure of the security or data breach, the loss. They will lose the customer trust on that particular brand, and it is very much hard to get back that trust again. Okay, so that is the some key points regarding what can go worse or go wrong if we don't follow proper network segmentation and firewalling in Docker. Okay, and here are the like some best practices and some next steps. So if you see here, we need to make sure to create a separate networks for different service types. We seen one of the slide where there is a 3 types of containers like web, app, and DB data like that. So we need to make sure whatever the communication is required, the only that need to be enabled. Otherwise, that need to be stick to the own. Inside only it will talk. It cannot go out. So that is like we need to provide a like traffic isolation. That will improve the security of the like entire system also. Okay, and also we need to make sure to use the minimal port exposure, like we already shown one of the commands, like with the help of a -p argument, we are binding to the local port. Okay, so with the local host we are binding that particular port, and there is no scope of exposing the other ports or getting communication to the other ports. So whatever the ports which is there is a communication requirement, we are using that, and that too we are binding that port with the specific host. And the next point was we need to make sure to implement a network policies and firewall rules by setting up the rules to control like which containers can communicate to which container. We can use tools like Iptables, as we discussed, or UFW to block a unwanted traffics. Okay, and we need to make sure to regular network security audits need to be conducted, and monitoring mechanism also need to be there. By this we will get some kind of like idea or else watch on that. Okay, so by reviewing your network setup and monitoring the traffic. That will helps us to scan for vulnerabilities to catch the issues early in the early stages in the software development lifecycle process. Okay, so yeah, I think you had good learning of these points, and try to start implementing as soon as possible. And I think your time is got utilized well, and yeah, these are the things we covered in this particular video. And stay tuned for more videos. In the upcoming videos, we are going to discuss the remaining top 10 whatever left. Okay, thank you so much once again for watching.